Really?
Yeah. Now my question is, why do you want to know about John?
Because
And actually, it will become I have interviewed you.
Yeah.
I'll not be able to convey my experience with John to you, because what I personally believe is that every of these experiences belong to the age, a particular age to which it belonged or where it happened actually. So if my son is reading Sakandi Idihasam, one of the most celebrated novels in Malayalam. Now he is reading it. Some 35 years ago I was reading it. So my reading of Sakandi Idihasam 35 years ago must have been totally different from what his experience, because times have changed and he will be reading it through each time. So I can read or I can tell about John only through my time, and you will not be able to understand that time because you are not lived there. Our time, that time, we still consider to be very lucky a generation, because we are just post-independent generation, post-communist generation. My father was a communist activist. So all our fathers were either independent freedom struggles, were in the freedom struggles, or they were communist struggles. And then we were the last generation which dreamed of a revolution, the Naxalbari generation, and we were at the ebb of it, and it also disappeared. That period was such that it was the least selfish generation. When John makes a film, it is not John's film; it's everybody's film. If somebody says a play, it is not his play; it's everybody's play. When I run a little magazine, it's not my little magazine. I never thought that I'll be known later, I'll become famous later, 10 years, 20 years later because of this. So there was such a collective effort to express ourselves. Very collective, very conscious efforts to express ourselves. And then, so that everybody was interested in everything. The theatre activists was interested in films, film activists was interested in paintings. They were all together in musical melas and all that. All of them were good writers. John was a good short story writer. He wrote plays, he staged plays, and many of his friends were painters. So it was such a I don't know how to say it, multi-expressive groups, at least selfish. That's what I find when I look back. So the point is, for John or for any of us, film was just one medium of expression. The real medium of expression was life itself, which is beyond film, which is more exciting than the film, more exciting than a play you do, more exciting than a song you see. There's something extra which you cannot capture is always there in life. No films have captured, not even Shakespeare could do that. What you have captured might be a little percent of what you have experienced. But life is much more larger, much more exciting.
Than fiction.
Yeah, than anything. It's much more wonderful. And there are experiences in life which you cannot convey from one man cannot convey to the other. It's an attempt, a very, very, very weak attempt to convey it. And that is how you have this films. So John was a typical example, typical, what I must say,
Ça va le vieux?
Ça va. J'ai trouvé une idée de roman. Ne plus décrire la vie des gens, mais seulement la vie. La vie toute seule. Ce qu'il y a entre les gens, l'espace, le son et les couleurs. Il faudrait arriver à ça. Joyce a essayé, mais on doit pouvoir faire mieux.
Voilà tes livres.
Mais ce porcelain.
a typical model of that period. And that as period will not be repeated, and the John is impossible. I don't think, because people have become more selfish. When I'm talking to you, I just start thinking, what am I going to gain out of it? John never thought about it. Then what else?
Sir, after showing
John, and again, everything about John was so different. No? He was an alcoholic. He was a notorious alcoholic. But he was so dear to the women in the families. He comes to my home and all that, knocks my room at 2 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, midnight. Drunk, asking for money, more money for drinking. But he behaved with the women in the family so well. So he just negated all our concepts about anything, concepts not only about the films. He negated our concepts about living. He negated our concepts about writing. He negated our concepts about drinking. He negated our concepts of loving. You can be as good a drunkard like John, but cannot be as equally good a man like John. You can be as good or greater a filmmaker than John, but cannot be as great a friend like John. He sings, he's a beautiful singer. He writes, he laughs, he loves, he drinks. He makes films, very rarely. In between he makes films, if possible. So I used to tell him, why should I go on giving you money? Just to spend in the Arab shop, no? He used to be, arrogant. And he used to tell me that, okay, I'm going to drink more. You are giving me 100 rupees. What else can I do with these 100 rupees? Please tell me. Can I make a film? I cannot make a film. That's what I want to do. I'm not able to do it, and you are not able to provide me money for making a film. You give me this petty 100 rupees and then you ask me to be accountable. Then you will say, don't teach the grandfather how to fuck. And just walk off. Always repeat that. Don't teach the grandfather how to fuck.
Je veux faire un film.
Pour faire un film, il faut de l'argent.
me and a few of our friends ran a magazine called Drishya Kala. Drishya Kala means visual art. It started, the first issue, it was in 79 we started. First issue started with the Malayalam translation of Battleship Potemkin screenplay. Yeah. We ran a special issue on Rai, on the 50th year of, 20th year or 25th year or 50th, I don't remember, of Pathar Panjali, Rai. And we had a special issue on the poor theatre, Grotowski. We carried screenplays of Raw Open City, this one, and then we have got that Surya Veta, Ulpadda's play. What is it called? Surya Veta in Malayalam. Play by Ulpadda. And we had a issue on Bengali theatre. And then we had we were serializing the script of Our the Furnaces, the script of which is nowhere in no language, not even Argentine language. It's a guerrilla film. A friend of mine working in film institution sat through, saw the film again and again, and wrote down the video and the audio. And we made a script of it. And John used to be a very great a friend of this magazine. He went to Pesaro Film Festival. That's the first time he went outside India with Ammaria. Mani was there. No, it was something like they were sort of doing something on Gattak, and they wanted all Gattak's favorite students. So Mani was there, Kumar was there, and John was there. You know, after going to Pesaro, he came back to India. He came back to Kerala. He came back to my hometown, Thrissur. He came home, and from his leather bag, cloth bag, he took out 2 books on cinema written in Italian language, all full of dirt, and gave it to me.
And asked for translation.
He said, you go to some church, priest in the church, can you translate and read? But somewhere in an Italian road, in an Italian street, this bloody fellow was thinking about me. Man like him might have lost those books anywhere. Who does not matter, who does not care about sleeping on the street, sleeping in a train, spending as much time anywhere he likes to. I haven't read it, I still have it in my library. So nothing, I don't want to read it, because it cannot be read. It's unreadable. So it's not on cinema. It's on love, it's on life, it's on friendship. So another John, I feel it's impossible. To another extreme, it is Manikal was like this, no? Very intimate. Doing what he think is his duty. People might have compromised. But Arvindan and Adur were financed by one cashew factory owner who always stood for good film cinema. It's not a sin that he was a cashew factory. He never intervened with these directors. One Ravind Nair, he made possible most of the Adur and Aravindan films. He stood for the good cinema. He never intervened. There was no intervention, and because of him, a lot of good cinema were made possible in Malayalam. But even him, he never approached.
Un ouvrier qui s'achète une petite caméra ou un petit appareil de photo, qui filme ses vacances, il fait un film politique. Voilà ce que j'appelle un film politique. Il ne peut faire que ce film-là. Il se trouve que justement, il a le droit de filmer ses vacances, mais bizarrement, il n'a pas le droit de filmer son travail. Les caméras sont interdites, et l'émission d'Edmond Maire l'a encore montré, sont interdites à l'usine, sur le lieu du travail. Nous, on prétend le sacro-saint droit au travail, si tu veux, qui est la tarte à la crème du patronat français. Moi, si je me pointe, moi, informateur, cinéaste, ayant le droit d'exercer mon travail de cinéaste, c'est-à-dire de filmer, je n'ai pas le droit d'aller presque nulle part. Pourquoi? Parce qu'on vit sous le régime de la propriété privée. Mais je n'ai même pas le droit d'aller dans les entreprises dites d'État. Je n'ai pas le droit de filmer dans le métro. Je n'ai pas le droit de filmer dans un musée. Je n'ai pas le droit de filmer dans une usine. Je n'ai pas le droit de filmer hors lit. J'ai le droit de filmer quasiment dans aucun des endroits qui représentent le 80% de l'activité productrice des Français. Où est le droit au travail?
Vous êtes en train d'enregistrer là?
L'exploiteur ne raconte jamais à l'exploité comment il l'exploite. Donc nous, dans ce raconte, nous qui sommes précisément l'information, le cinéma, la télévision, la presse, nous qui sommes dans ce discours de l'exploiteur qui raconte à l'exploité. Parce que c'est ça le cinéma, les romans, la presse, la télé, c'est raconter. Nous qui sommes là-dedans, nous devons précisément raconter.
And instead he wanted to make films of other people. There's an article by Godard. That is money and montage. The money that is being invested will affect your montage. May not be directly but indirectly. May not be consciously but unconsciously. So John decided to overcome this obstacle of capital. It's a heavily capital-oriented art. It's a capitalist art, the cinema. When Godard could not, and John did it. So Odessa was a very wonderful experience of trying to overcome this burden of capital that had been there always on cinema. Everybody, the way the film was made is, everybody gave him money. And today you are shooting here. Tomorrow you are shooting at Koilun, for example. Then it's Venkateswaran you are going to meet. Because he made a very important contribution to the film. Venkati and a group will move from here. Tomorrow while you are shooting here, they will move to Koilun, and they will be organizing food, accommodation, everything there in the houses of the people, and they will collect food from the people. So next day when John reaches there, everything food for the unit, accommodation, no hotels. I got friends, and hearing these people are very enthusiastic about becoming a part of it. They stay somewhere, finish the shoot, next shoot it is a travelogue sort of thing, traveling from one place, and then these people move. The unit comes. So it was very different. The process of production was different. It's always, the people may not be interested in the process. They will be interested only in the product. But the product is a part of the process. The process should be like Gandhiji doing this, charka thing. It's a process which influences the product.
Path is more important.
Yeah, the process also is very important. Have you seen that glass?
Button
Button straw. What he says is this process is important. It's a process. You are giving in the first part, people. Then the machine comes. The process changes. Man gets alienated. And the product is also like that. But this product is so loved and cared and taken care of. So John tried this, you see, through cinema. He tried to change the process. And because the process is so raw, so changed, the product will be raw also. It will not be as fine as you expect in a commercial cinema. And people never understood it. Our people, most of them, they didn't understand. John film should be like this only, because process is like this. I think I talked some sense there. That's why Mahatma Gandhi stays more than Nehru. He was experimenting with his own life, you know. Because John was experimenting with his own life, even in making cinema. He was not trying to make as much cinema as possible. He was not trying to win as much awards as possible. He was not trying to go to as much foreign countries as possible. So that honesty, you know, it was John's experiments with truth. John surrendered to the truth of cinema, the ruthless, these very ugly, glamorous, rejecting all that. He was trying to reach to another truth of cinema, which actually is a real cinema. Like Our the Furnaces, for example. Is it a cinema? Yes, it is. It is the cinema. So that's why he is being loved by people who really love cinema. That's why he is being loved and inquired about by people who really wanted to do something different in cinema. That's why he goes on hunting you. That's why he goes on troubling you. Even when you have got other comfortable ways of doing it. No? So many comfortable ways of doing it, safer ways of doing it, less risky ways of doing it. But this man is there. You cannot avoid him. You see, like I was just watching a film on BBC film on Guevara today morning. He said that he was arrested and they wanted to kill him, and one executioner was appointed. He went there. When he saw this executioner, Guevara said, "No, I know. Coward, you have come here to kill me. Shoot." Then the last word was, "But remember, you are killing only a man." Likewise, John was a man who died. But it's not John the man who is troubling you. Something else, which I don't know what it is. I cannot define it. At the same time, people like me may commit a mistake of over glamorizing John, over glamorizing our times. That happens always, when you get old. Just try to live in the past. So all these words I told about John and our times is slightly over exaggerated. Take only, not this 50% is exaggerated. It's okay, enough.
Start asking questions.
No.
Just,
നമ്മുടെ ഹരിയില്ലേ തബല വായിക്കുന്നത്, അവൻ ആത്മഹത്യ ചെയ്തു. വയനാട്ടിൽ വെച്ചായിരുന്നു.
അച്ഛാ, ആത്മഹത്യ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ എന്താ?
ആത്മഹത്യ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ആൾക്കാരെ കഴുത്തിൽ കയറെല്ലാം കെട്ടി മരത്തെ കെട്ടി തൂങ്ങി മരിക്കുന്നതാ.
മരിക്കുന്നത് എന്തിനാണ് അച്ഛാ?
Again, I will be exaggerating. My father was an actor. My brother was an actor. I was an actor. Amma Riyan, you haven't seen me?
yeah.
Oh.
No, I will go.
He comes to my home, and then Joy Matthew comes to my home and says, and then my son asks him, what is it that is called suicide? Remember that? So we used to, me and John, he always used to argue about theatre and cinema. I say that cinema is okay, I understand that's the director's this thing, but theatre is an actor's art. This director is the first actor, you can say, or the last actor. But once the curtain is up, this director can do nothing.
Sorry.
So actor, and for example, you haven't heard of Kalamala Gobi? He's a great Kathakali actor. His famous role is Nala, or Nalajidism. See, people have seen 2,000 times of Nala on the stage by Gobi. Goes again at 2000 first. How many films of Amitabh Bachchan, same film can you see? 3, 4, 5, 10? But every time he is on the stage, he is creating a new Nalan. He is creating something new. Actually, it was a play. Then one day a postcard came to me that they are going to have this play staged. And that was a chessboard like this thing. What he will do is he will go from one village to another with this very rough framework of the play. He will live there with the people. He will understand the problems of that village. The problems of this village will be different from the problems of the other village, and that will be different again from the problems of the next village he is going to go. So he'll understand the problems of the village, collect these people, these villagers, and make them stage the problems of their village as a play with this director at the center. So that the whole village people gets aware of what the problems are and how to solve it, how to resist it, who is the culprit in the whole thing. So, brilliant idea. But he could stage it only in one place. Concept of this play to reach an execution stage needs like filmmaking needs a lot of support, you see. There is another play called Channaikal. The Channaikal and then English പറയാം. ജക്കാളല്ല എന്തായാലും പറയാ ചെന്നായ വോൾസ് how to take art into closer to people. Not only cinema. How to make the people speak for themselves. How to empower the people. I think though he didn't write anything on this, but his activities, his life needs to be discussed more, researched more.
He have many unfinished projects like.
He had an unfinished life. He had an unfinished life. These are all setbacks, you see. You need a lot of courage and mental strength to accept all these. More failures I mean in quotes, not the real service. Enough, man. I'm fed up. Who is this bloody John? Enough.